What up? You know what it is. It's Charlie Newhart. All right. I don't care nothing about likes and subscribers and views. If you want to, cool. If not, whatever. I'm giving you real content. This is what you expect on the Charlie Newhart show. I ain't got no fancy name or nothing like that, but let me tell you what the show is going to be. Look, I bought a house with some fake W-2s when I was 22 years old. You're going to get that story plus a bunch of more hood stories. My dad's going to come through today for a nice little interview. We're going to chop it up, and we're going to talk about the good and bad in America. We're going to talk about some traumas and how to get through them. We're just going to have real conversation here on the Charlie Newhart Show. Stay tuned.
Give it up for Charlie Newhart. Come on.
All right, look. Okay, let's be 100. One of the reasons I'm doing this is I did a podcast at my boy's house the other day because I can't even front. Like I said, I hate podcasts, dog. Everybody got one, and I just didn't see the value in it. I just wanted to create art, but one of my homies brought me to his house. We did a sit down similar to this. He put the video out, and by the end of the day, it had like 600,000 views. I was like, oh, okay, it's something to this then. Maybe I got stories people want to hear. So, that's part of it. But I just want to there's 3 people I just want to give honor to right off the top. I came out here to California. I didn't even really have a cell phone. I had 0 social media. All I wanted to do was concentrate on art. That's it. I'm an artist. I want to book roles on shows and commercials. And that happened. But it's 3 people that kind of showed me the internet game. One of them is Tyrese Spivey. I just want to give you props, bro, because he sat me down like, you got to do a video a day on the internet to establish your voice and show what it is you want to do. Shout out to Tyree. My homie, Craig Smith, that's my brother, man. He kind of put me up on game. Like, there's money in this internet game. Getting the internet is like getting the streets, dog. So he put me up on that and kind of showed me the blueprint. Then he hit me every now and then like, man, where your podcast at? And man, you need to get to releasing content. So I appreciate bro for that. And y'all gonna see me back on there real soon. I had to take a break to figure all this internet stuff out. Cause it is a goofy world, but I kind of wanted to figure it out on my own. And Craig Conant, he the one sat me down and put me on this podcast and kind of showed me the blueprint. And all these people, man, I gave something to them and then they gave back. I gave them an opportunity to get the bag, and then they helped open up the door to bring it back. So I appreciate y'all for that, man. I really do. So yeah, we gonna get it in. Welcome to the show. I'm bringing my dad on later, man. We gonna have a blast. But I gotta tell y'all this story. I bought my first house when I was 22. And it was in the hood. It was like Joy Road, Wyoming. And you remember that time frame in the day when you could buy a house and you didn't really need to have a whole lot of paperwork?
Yeah, it made me really fucking nervous because everybody was trying to sell me a house.
And that was, dog, 98, 99 when you could get a house, no paperwork. I remember I had somebody make me some fake W-2s because I was kind of hustling. I wasn't really working. I bought this house for $110,000 in 1999. West side of Detroit, brick house. If you in the city right now, you know the area I'm talking about. It's behind the Dairy Queen, Joy Road, and Wyoming.
Very specific.
Yeah, right there. You got to be. That's one thing about Detroit. You got to be specific. If you do a movie about Detroit and in the movie niggas is talking about drinking soda, nobody in Detroit is gonna watch the show. Nigga, we don't say soda. We say pop, nigga. Got to be specific when you deal with the city. So I'm over there, and dog, I remember it was taking us so long to close, but I was doing everything crooked. W-2s. I shouldn't even have been buying a house. So I remember the owner of the house calls me and said, hey man, come pick me up because we getting ready to go to the mortgage office. We got to close this deal. We got to have a conversation with Harvey. Harvey's the dude that owned the place. So I was like, all right, bet. I'll come pick you up. You know what I'm saying? Nigga had a cast on his foot. He couldn't drive. I go to pick up the owner of the house. We go to the office. This nigga walks into the office and he asked the receptionist, hey, is Harvey here? Because Charlie wants to close on his house today. I was like, oh, this nigga throwing me under the bus already, dog. She was like, no, Harvey's not here, but, I'm pretty sure he's handling your paperwork, blah, blah, blah. Man, this nigga, the next few things he did blew my mind. He walks over to the fax machine, snatches the cord out the wall, picks up the fax machine. He says, you tell Harvey that if he don't close on this deal and get Charlie in this house, I'm keeping this fax machine. And that's what I said. Like,
gangster home soldier.
You gonna be a gangster with a nigga's fax machine? He got his fax machine like, and the whole time I'm like, dog, why you ain't tell me you was getting ready to come in here to turn up? He walking out the office with the fax machine, turns around, slams it back on the desk and said, you have Harvey call me. Harvey's the mortgage guy. I'm like, why you being gangster with Harvey, man? Slams the fax machine down. We walking out the office. By the time we get to the parking lot, guess who pulling in? Harvey. Harvey walks up to my man like, dog, you coming into my office, threatening my secretary, trying to force this deal to close? And before you know it, I'm gonna tell you, I'm a big fan of live drama, first off. Harvey gets out the car, slaps my man so hard, knocks his glasses across the parking lot. Cleanest slap out, cleaner than the Will Smith slap. Slapped this nigga's glasses across the parking lot. And I was so close, I could feel the wind from the slap, like when his hand came across, he slaps this nigga. And then starts choking him out. Why you coming to my office? And I'm letting it ride. Like, make this nigga pass out for coming to. You should have told me what I was coming into when I picked you up. Nigga, you might deserve to tap out. This nigga's getting choked out, dog. He getting choked out. And finally, I was like, let me break this shit up. To make a long story short, man, I ended up buying this house. And it was just,
hold on, wait. You can't fast forward, dog. Like,
oh, you want to
know. America needs to know.
The nigga, what ended up happening, man? So I broke up the fight. Harvey went and picked up his glasses. We ended up closing on the house like a week later. Like, come to find out, man, they was something like cousins. Like, these niggas knew each other. And because everything was cool, like Harvey was like, man, tell Michelle I said hi. Michelle was the dude's wife. Like, y'all niggas is family? Y'all got me caught up in the middle of this. But that, honestly, though, that should have been a red flag. Like, I probably shouldn't have bought the house. You know what I'm saying? But I buy the house anyhow. Niggas is breaking in the house every other day. And I'm telling you, you got red flags from the beginning, man, you really need to pray about that situation, dog. Like if your mortgage broker is fighting with the owner of the home you're trying to buy in front of you, niggas getting his glasses slapped off and choked out, you might need to think about that situation to see if that's a house that you want to buy.
I mean, you might have a point,
I'm saying, if it's a huge breakout, like, I don't know, man, but dog, my credit was pretty much okay, but them niggas, when I looked at the paperwork, dog, my interest rate was off the chain. I was so young, though. My credit was probably about 700. Man, the interest rate was through the roof. It was a balloon mortgage that I couldn't afford a year later. Like, I ended up having to leave the house and blah, blah, blah. Like, basically, they was selling houses to niggas in the hood knowing they was going to repo them or take possession of them. Yeah, man, that's kind of a thing in the hood. But honestly, man, if you got a situation with a house that you trying to buy, if you feel the red flags in the beginning, even now, but the whole game has changed now. My pops is going to talk about it when he get on. They just bought a house in Texas. Nigga, it took them probably about 6 months to get that house. Yeah, that process is wild. But yeah, man, I got a ton of little hood stories. But that same house I bought, I remember like 6 months later, Langston, I'm in the shower and my wife come knocking on the door like, you got to come out here right now. This that same hood house. Dog, I come out the shower, walk outside. It's a nigga on the grass, garbage bagged and duct taped up with a cell phone taped to his chest. And there's a hole in the part of his mouth for him to breathe. And when I walked up on him, nigga started screaming, and the phone starts ringing. And he was like, oh, don't answer the phone. I'm like, the fuck? I asked her what happened. She said there was a minivan that rolled by, and they threw this nigga out the minivan on the way by and threw him on my grass and kept driving. I was like, man, the hell I done got myself into, dog. This nigga's getting threw out of minivans in front of my house. Nigga got a cell phone taped to his chest. I tried to call the police. I grabbed this nigga's legs to move him. Like, what if they come back and get this nigga? I grabbed his legs to move him, and his body was so broke up. He was like a snake. I was pulling him, and nigga was screaming like, "Don't move me!" Like, no, nigga, I'm moving you to this empty field that I'm gonna leave you out here. Leave this nigga in the empty field. I don't even know if police came to get him, but I'm saying another red flag. I probably shouldn't have got the crib. You know what I'm saying? But you know,
I mean, it's more of like a red just plume of smoke.
that's nigga, that whole situation, dog. When I look back on it, like, man, I don't know what I was thinking, but I don't know. I was so hard-headed back then. I was just blowing past all the cones to do whatever I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I ended up leaving out of that house. But I'm telling y'all, the part that I don't like is how people magnify the. You got to talk about the negative parts of living a certain lifestyle too. Like when you hustling and doing all kind of wild shit, there's certain energy in people you attract at the same time. You feel me? And I just don't think people discuss that shit, man. You got to really be aware. If you making certain choices, especially if you got kids and shit too, like you exposing them to that as well. But the house I'm in now, I had real W-2s this time. And there ain't been no people thrown in front of my house in garbage bags. Niggas broke in my house one day, took all my clothes, and then took the Hennessy out the refrigerator. Like, man, what kind of vicious nigga takes the Hennessy out the refrigerator, bro?
That is a fucking supervillain right there.
Nigga, they took all the gifts from under my Christmas tree. I'm like, yeah, okay, all right. And when I shoot one of y'all niggas, you know what I'm saying?
Grinch. Just straight up hood Grinch.
Straight up hood. I'm trying to think what else happened when I lived over there. Niggas was shooting fireworks at like 2 a.m, close to 4th of July, 2 blocks away. I called the police, ain't nobody come up. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go over here. Cause this is how I feel personally. If you're doing something out of line to me or my loved ones, I have a right to discipline you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't no gangster, I ain't no thug, but if you do something out of line, I may have to come discipline you. Man, these niggas was shooting off fireworks, dog. And I was like, let me go over here and see what's going on. So I put a little hammer inside of my hoodie, jumped a couple fences. These niggas had an industrial pole like that in the middle of the street. They shooting off rockets like, psh. Dog, I don't know what I was thinking, nigga. I just walked up to the pole and just grabbed that mug and then walked away. And oh man, what the hell that nigga doing? They jumping in their cars. It's people. And at first I thought they were shooting at me, but when I looked, they were shooting in the air. But I'm like, they get close to me, I'm gonna just have to just squeeze one off. So I'm walking in the middle of the street with the pole like I'm John Henry or something, with my hand in my hoodie and the other pole, dragging it, walking slow. I don't know what was on my mind, dog. And everybody, they shooting in the air and I'm still walking. And then all of a sudden, this dude gets in the car and he start coming at me maybe 50, 60 miles an hour. I'm like, okay, now it's real. I dropped the pole, jumped a bunch of fences, went back home, and my wife was like, I ain't heard the noise no more. What happened? I was like, I just went over there to see what was going on, and then everything just stopped. I didn't tell her all the extent of what I did, you know what I'm saying? But if you know me, you know that you do something to me or one of my loved ones, I mean, I have a right to discipline you. I may not exercise that right all the time, but I feel like I do have a right to discipline you because I'm off. I'm a little crazy. Just like Langston. Langston's a little. I didn't know Langston was crazy until we was filming one day, dog. I got to tell this story, bro. I have to tell this story because this is what sometimes you think, especially me coming from the Midwest. You think that just because somebody may talk proper or maybe whatever, you think one thing like, oh, this nigga whitewashed. Dog, man, this nigga Langston turned up on this lady so scandalous. We was filming over in Inglewood. And we was filming some sketches, and this lady kept shouting shit out of the window while we was trying to film. What are y'all doing out there? Da. This nigga Langston went from 0 to 100 so fast. Bitch, shut the fuck up. I was like, oh shit. What else did you say to her, dog? This nigga had me afraid.
I was raised off of Slauson and Crenshaw.
See?
And, you know, I came out and clearly I'm not broken. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's in there somewhere and I'll leave it at that.
Dog. My man turned up on the bitch like, bitch, you shut the fuck up. Or I'm a da-da-da-da-da. And then there was this long pause. And she was like, oh, I'm just playing. I was like, and then there was no more sound issues after that. So if you need somebody to make sure your set is solid while they filming you, like this nigga does security and he's an amazing DP. Like I ain't never seen nobody that's a DP and will shoot somebody. He's shooting and will shoot, if you know what I'm saying.
But, you know, it's LA. You got to be multi-talented.
I feel it. I fuck with Langston, dog. Yeah, and man, and shout out to Craig too for this, man. He made this connection for me to meet you, man, and I appreciate that. Man, I'm excited to bring my dad on. I want to talk about this shit, man. I want to talk about this whole critical race theory. You been following that?
I mean, it just sounds like white people sad about something else, and I don't follow that shit because it just makes me angry. I have to.
I feel you. It's some news I can't watch, but this critical race theory shit is kind of wild. Where they like banning the teaching of it in these states. And ain't nobody saying that we mad at white people. It's just that, dog, acknowledge that there were some laws and things in place that kept non-whites from succeeding. That's really all we saying. We ain't saying all white people's bad. I mean, look at me, nigga. I got white in me, you can tell. I can't be too mad at white folks, man. Niggas don't come from Africa looking like this. Light-skinned, green eyes and shit, man. Look at these features, high cheekbones. It's some, you know what I'm saying? There's part cracker here. I can tell, you know what I'm saying? So I can't be too mad at white folks, but it's like, dog, acknowledge the fact that, okay, redlining. Redlining existed for years. It was a law where white people, where niggas could not move into certain neighborhoods. We couldn't buy houses. We weren't allowed to get mortgages. In houses where we could buy them and actually attain wealth. That's a law. And all we saying is, hey, that law was in place. Can you acknowledge that? And also, too, let's right some of these wrongs. I want a check. I want a reparations check. I think niggas should get $100,000 a piece. But I think.
That's it?
Or more. What you think?
I honestly have no fucking idea.
Maybe more. But
my ideas on the topic would actually be extremely controversial.
straight up.
It would be extremely controversial.
I think I'm going to be honest, dog. I damn near feel like before we get a check, this is probably going to be controversial, but I don't care. I feel like before niggas get a check, we should have like a 30-day class on spending.
Nigga, why are you in my head right now? Because I was just about to say that. Like, you can have this money, but you got to go through all of this shit so we can get you out of this hood shit.
Yes.
So you ain't broke in 6 months.
That's what I'm saying. Niggas ain't going to like it, but I'm going to say it anyhow. This is my show. I feel like it should be, all right, niggas is going to get $100,000 a piece. But before you get this check, you got to go to this 30-day class because, and it's true, the system has kind of fucked our mind up a little bit, and some of the habits that we have are things that just was out of our control. It's a system issue, but I still feel like you should take this 30-day class, and then you get the $100,000. Now, if you do some bullshit with the $100,000 or more after the 30 days, that's on you, but at least you was taught. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. I'm with you on that. Like, you can't just be like, here's $100,000, have a nice day. Like,
I'm saying.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
You need like something structured because there's a lot of folks that will have, like you said, the system's trained us to spend the money on bullshit, not make wise financial decisions that, you know, benefit us long term.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So I can just see, you know, just a bunch of fucking overbuilt challengers running around for 6 months until niggas die because
dog, that like
smashed them all up.
That pandemic money showed it. Like, man, this nigga's pulling up in brand new whips. Like, my man, you was in a shooter just last week. You got jewelry and shit. Like, you just bust your whole PPP loan on some jewels and some Cardis and a Challenger. I think we should be trained. But I ain't gonna lie though. Can I just be 100 though? Because I still got nigga shit in me. I go to the class. I do the 30 days. Give me my 100,000 plus. But I promise you for a week, I'm walking around with about 40 bands on me. Everywhere I go.
Just on you?
Just, how much is that? And I'm pulling out a big donkey knot. Like, how much is that? That's 200, nigga. I'm going to blow a little bit. I'm going to blow a little bit. I'm going to stun a little bit. I'm going to put some diamonds on my Cardis. I'm going to, You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give me a Caprice on some 28s with some 15s in the trunk, big 454. I'm gonna pull up on people like, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? But we all gonna have it, so we all gonna be balling on each other. But I'm just telling you now, I'm gonna spend a good 3 months probably being ignorant. And then it's like, all right, now I'm gonna invest. I'm gonna be wilding on niggas like, what? Just doing stupid stuff. Go to the club and buy a whole bunch of bottles and then pull up garbage cans at the club and pour all the bottles in garbage cans in front of all the hoes. I just spent $500 on this bottle, bitch. Watch this. Pour it in the trash. Because I'm off. You can't listen to me. I'm a comedian. I'm off. I've been through a lot. I've been shot, all of that. You may not want to listen to me. If we do get the money, whatever they tell you to do in them classes, do that. Don't listen to me. Because I'll be at the club pouring bottles in front of your face like, yeah, bitch. You know what I'm saying? I don't have them all. But you're going to meet my dad today. You're going to figure out, like, what? Charlie's dad is, like, he's a stand-up dude, man. He been married to my mama like 48 years. Like, why is your son so crazy? We get ready to find out, man. I'm going to bring Pops on.
Give it up for Charlie Newhart. Come on.
All right. What up? We back. I got a really special guest with me right now. I've picked up this Mexican day worker at the Home Depot and had him put an orange shirt on and come out here and do it. No, this is my dad, man. People think he Puerto Rican or Mexican, but he's a real nigga from Michigan, man. So let everybody know who you are, what's going on.
Yeah, my name is Wayne Retrieve, and I'm Charlie Newhart's dad.
Yeah.
And you know, I raised him basically like I was raised, and I had a strong father, and he didn't take no mess off of me and nobody else, and so I grew up the same way. And now he's like me on steroids. So he has a lot of my attributes. He picked up the good stuff, and he kind of got rid of the ugly stuff, because, you know, there's always good and bad.
No, that's how I feel. I totally agree. Like, I feel like I read this. I heard Mike Tyson say this, that familiarity breeds contempt. He says sometimes people will get close to you and they see the chinks in your armor, and then they start treating you different, or because like, oh, you got flaws. That, and I mean, I've never really ascribed to that. Like, you know, I mentioned quite a few people earlier in the podcast who I was giving them honor and credit for kind of showing me the game in this internet, but like, they all human, and I can honor and show people flowers without magnifying people's flaws, because we all got them. And I think I learned that from you.
Yeah.
Because you was kind of transparent with me, like, man, this is kind of what I went through. This is what it cost me. Like, if all y'all don't know, man, my dad is like my best friend. He know everything about me. He know all my issues with women, alcohol, and hustling, and like, he's seen it all. I was just telling, we was just talking about this earlier. My dad was just, I don't know what, he would go in my room all the time and just rifle through my stuff.
Yeah, it was my house, and I want to know what's going on in my house. And there's certain things going to be in there and certain things that wasn't.
Yeah, and I loved it because I do the same thing with my kids. You in my house, I'm going to go through your stuff. You know what I'm saying? So he, you want me to break on it real quick?
I'll keep going.
So so Pops goes in my room, right? And he finds a tape and watches the tape. And it's a tape of me and several people running a train on this chick. Like, I had met her at the airport when I was working there, you know, said a few things to her, convinced her to make certain choices. Let me rephrase that. Suggested a few things, and she made certain choices on her own. So we videotape it. I got it at the crib just for us to watch every now and then. He finds the tape and just has a real sit down with me, like, man, what is this? This is the kind of stuff you out here doing, like.
Yeah, I was not happy, and like I said, I say, hey, you in my house. You know, when you bring that kind of stuff in, you bring spirits in the house.
Right.
And they not only affect me, they affect your brother and your mama, and they also affect you too. And I was like, no, we're gonna keep this house holy, as much as I can, can do. And that's just not one of the things that I'm gonna tolerate. And see, I was a parent that, and my wife believed the same way. This is our house.
Right.
You just here for you temporary.
Right.
You got an expiration date when you got to get out. I know when I got to a certain age, my parents, they kind of ruffled the feathers on the house where I was at. I'm like, hey, I got to go.
Right.
And I got out there, and I thought there was something wrong with that. I thought it was kind of ugly, but I found out later from my mom. She said, hey, it was planned that way. It's just like, when the eagle got the chicklets, there's come a time when the chicks is time to go, she kick them out the nest.
Yeah.
It's time for you to take off and fly on your own. So that's basically the way I was raised. So I raised you and your brother the same way. We kind of ruffled the feathers a little bit. It's time for y'all to step out on your own. And then what we did is while we were raising you so that you could get out there and stand on. We gave you the tools. Yeah. And what we did is we recognized your talents, both you and your brother. And we try to push you in that area with your talents, so that when you take off, when you leave, you can make it.
Yeah.
And it worked,
No, y'all, you and mom really sold into my gift. Like I remember, I had cancer. Remember that when I was 15, 16.
Yeah.
I had 2 surgeries, 8 months of chemo. You know what I'm saying? God healed me. I'm super grateful.
Yeah.
But one of the things that y'all did for me, which I really appreciate, is y'all. I couldn't play no more sports, and I was kind of heartbroken about that because I was going through chemo treatments. And you and mom wrote a play for me. Y'all recognized I had this gift, and while I was on chemo, y'all wrote a play at the church, and I did the play and clowned. Y'all basically said, play this character and just act a fool. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. Like that, that's insight from God.
Yeah. And it was a blessing that the church let us do that too. We took all the kids in the Sunday school, quite a few of them in the Sunday school, and involved them in this play. Yeah. And they enjoyed it, and then the church enjoyed it too. It was a comedy. And the whole church enjoyed it. Even the pastor, he was laughing. And it was a good time. And that was basically what we were about. We were trying to get the kids involved and keep them busy and keep their minds occupied on positive things. And we did a lot of things like that with the church, And y'all really enjoyed it. And we enjoyed it too, because it was a form of activity for us. And me and mom enjoyed that. And then also we took y'all camping too.
Yeah.
We took the whole Sunday usher board class camping, and we had several parents come and help out, and the church supported us and gave us funds to buy all the stuff, and we actually camped outside at a campground, and the kids loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a good time.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody the other day too, like you was always, you kept the balance. Like you kept a balance between like, okay, I'm gonna turn up on somebody at any given time if I have to, but I'm also, this person that's a family man and all of that. But I remember when you turned up on dude at the Lions game?
Oh yeah.
Man, listen, I've seen Pops turn up on so many people. Dude was throwing popcorn at the Lions game. Pop runs up on the dude. Basically we had to leave.
Right.
The Silver Dome.
Yeah, because I was about to hurt somebody, and I got a vision. Here I am. I'm a deacon in the church, and this guy's throwing this popcorn, and I said, hey, I can't put up with this. So I got up, and I was getting ready to, do some hurt, serious, and the switch just went off, and I was like, I was done. I was up there in his face, and he was scared to death, and then I just got this vision of me getting hauled off to jail because I done beat this dude up or cut him or something, because I had my hand on my knife in my pocket. And it was open and ready, And then I just got this flash. I'm like, oh man, because I had seen before where people clown at the Silver Dome and the state police haul them off to jail. I just got this vision of me getting hauled off to jail. And here it is. Here go Deacon Shreve getting hauled off to jail. I'm like, oh. I said, then I just turned and I said, it's time to go. We got to get out of here because I was going to hurt somebody.
That's That's every old black man. It's like, I had my hand on my knife. I was ready. I would cut a nigga. I had my hand on my knife.
Right.
But we talked about earlier about how how parents need to make tough love decisions. Like I remember, I just had this thing that I was willing to do whatever it takes to get money. You know what I'm saying? Remember that season where I had all them cars and all that stuff, and I was willing to take chances to get money.
Yeah.
And I remember I had like a gun and some product in the house, and you was on one of them rifle through my room missions, and I came home and Pops had the gun on the table and all of this stuff, and he was like, you remember what you said? He was like, if you gonna do this,
yeah, if you gonna do this, you can't stay here. You got to go. And I was just, my wife, she stood with me, because she felt the same way I did. And I was like, hey, you can't stay here. Right. And do this. This is serious implications that you bring to this house. And being the man of the house, I was the protector. That was my job, And my wife always backed me up. And I was going to make sure that the household stayed protected.
That's tough love, though, for your
right.
oldest son. You was like, and I left.
It hurt to have to do that, because, I love my children. I love my sons. And it was a lifelong dream of mine to have two sons. And I was blessed to have two sons. And they loved me, too. We had really, really good father-son relationship with both my sons.
Right.
And, I still do. I still have a good relationship with both my sons.
Shout out to my brother right now. He bought he bought an old school vet that he put in the motor in, and he put in this really cold V6 in it.
No, he ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna let him be. I'm not gonna let him do that.
He put a 3800 V6 in a Corvette, and it's gonna be an amazing machine. He put a monster in there.
We're building a real motor for it.
Pops is a race guy, though. Yes. You know what I'm saying? You wanna. What about that story about Grandma getting that '69 Camaro for you? Well, she wouldn't co-sign on it for you. Yeah. That whole little story. Tell me about that.
Well, anyway, I was a straight up hot rod guy. I was waiting to get my first hot rod. I had a couple cars, and I was going to turn them into hot rods. I had built a motor for one, and got the motor in the car. Never got it running. I ended up selling the motor, and then I saw this. A friend of mine had a '69 Z28 Camaro.
What year was this?
This was in 1970. Right after I graduated. And he came by my house one afternoon. He said, Wayner, man, there's a yellow Z28 up at Mark Chevrolet. Man, you need to go up there and check it out. So I gets myself together, go up there, and there it is, sitting right there on the lot. I'm like, oh, man, that's got to be mine. So I approached my dad. I said, hey, I need a co-signer to get this car. I ain't co-signing nothing. I'm like, what? No, I'm not co-signing for you to get nothing. So I'm like, damn. So I was really upset. So then I talked to my mom. I said, Mom, hey, I got this car I want to go get. She said, what kind of car is it? I said, it's a '69 Z28. Now my mom, she couldn't tell me no. So my mom got together and I took her up there and she co-signed for me to get the car. So I didn't know I was getting the car. I did all the things. I had the money and so I had to go to work because I was working afternoons. So I go to work and I don't know. See, there ain't no cell phones back then and ain't no call. Once you go on the line, back then in the day, you was locked down. And wasn't no contact with the outside world unless it was a dire emergency, okay? So I ain't talk to nobody. So I don't get off work till 12 o'clock. So I'm coming home and one of my buddies is bringing me home and I see the car sitting in the front of the house. And I was like, oh my goodness, they got the car. I told my buddy, stop the car. I jumps out the car while the car is still rolling. I runs in the house and I gets the keys. And one of my sisters say, Wayne, something wrong with the shifter. Daddy was driving the car and he hung the shifter up. I said, that's all right. I'll check that out. I got the keys. And within 30 seconds, that car, I had took it out. I had fixed the shifter and got in it, and it was gone all night long. I didn't come home until the sun came up the next day. I raced all night long. I raced about 5 or 6 people. Right. The first night I got the car.
I love it.
So that was my experience with my 69 Z28.
And you was working at Ford on the assembly line at the time, right?
Right.
And wasn't Grandpa was he your supervisor?
No, he wasn't my supervisor, but he did
supervisor.
get me the job. He got me the job, which he did that for a lot of folks. He got tons of people jobs at Ford Motor Company.
Oh man, let me tell you this. I think I told you this story. This is about Grandpa. Him being like my granddad was a supervisor at Ford. He got a whole bunch of people hired. Like you think about a lot of it in the Midwest, it was like you got a job at Ford because one of your family members worked there, right? Yeah. I get into this fight at Ford on the assembly line because I'm working there. This is like 1999, 2000. I get into a fight with this dude, and it was over some French fries. He was my teammate. We had a team of like 13 people. We would all share food. So, you know what I'm saying? I had some food, so I went to go get one of his fries, and this nigga does some kind of karate move, dog, and kicks me in the shoulder on the assembly line, bro. He kicks me in the shoulder, and I immediately went into action. I slammed him. We start fighting, man. I'm hitting him and blah, blah, blah. And making a long story short, they take us in the office, and my union rep pulls me to the side like, this is Ned.
Yeah, okay.
He's my union guy.
Okay.
Ned was my dad, one of my dad's friends, but
right.
Ned pulls me to the side. He was like, man, you know you're supposed to be fired for fighting on the job. And I just knew I was fired. This nigga looks at me, he says, but I can't fire you because your granddad got me this job.
Wow.
I was like, yeah. I used to date your Aunt Diane. And when we was dating, he got me the job. He was like, so I can't fire you. He said, but guess what? I can't fire that other nigga either. So he said it. I want to fire his ass because I don't like that nigga, but I can't fire neither one of y'all. So you got to take 2 weeks off. He said, but Charlie, you can't be fighting on the damn job.
Right.
It's so much, and I think another time too, I knocked a bunch of boxes down on the supervisor on purpose, and the nigga fell because he was messing with me. He was just on me. So I just pushed these boxes on purpose, and they fell and hit him. Right. And I had another week off, and then was like. My union rep again, he was like, I thought I told you not to be doing shit. I was like, I didn't fight. He said, but you knocked boxes down on this nigga, man. I said, but he been messing with me every day. He said, you know why he messing with you? I said, no. He was like, man, your dad raced him back in the 70s and beat him so bad, he ended up running off the road and tearing up his car. He was like, that's why he messing with you. Because he know who your dad is. So I went to, what happened?
Wait, hold on. This nigga's got a generational grudge?
This nigga
yes.
This nigga said generational grudge. That's exactly
what it is, too.
Tell them that story, dog. Because my man's was messing, and I had to ask you, like, man, it's a dude at my job, a supervisor. His name, I forgot his name. And you was like, oh, Squeaky.
His nickname was Squeaky. Yes.
What happened? Did you
so anyway, I have this race, and a couple of my so-called buddies worked on his car all day long to race me that night. So, it was the afternoon. So we raced, and I whoops him, and he's so dumb he don't even know where the finish line is. So he drives, he can't stop when it's time to stop. He crosses a major artery without stopping, goes through the light, runs on the other side of the road, because the other side of the road is dirt. Gets in the dirt, loses control of his car, wrecks his car. And I was like, what's wrong with him? I'm like, I done stopped the race. He's still going. I said, what's wrong with this idiot?
Meanwhile, you fast forward 30-some years later, this nigga's my supervisor giving me problems on the line because he raced my dad back in the day and lost and tears up his own car.
Still taking L's.
Still taking L's.
Yes, he's still taking
Nigga got
L's.
them boxes knocked down on top of him too, man. It was so clean and pure that I was able to take this stance of it was an accident. But literally, if it was cameras around, which it wasn't, that's what I miss about the 90s, man.
Right, no
the
cameras.
wild 90s. There was
Yes.
no cameras.
Yeah.
There was no social media.
Nope.
I mean, if there was a camera around, you would have seen me like nudging the boxes. And yeah, the story about the 90s.
Yeah, that was a classic.
90s was wild.
It was weird how, I have a confrontation with this individual, and then you grow up and you have a confrontation with him also.
Yeah, it was
I'm
weird.
like, damn, he must want me to come up there and knock his block off or something, tune him up. Because see, back in the day if you race somebody, once you got beat, you got clowned for a long time, and everybody always knew about it, and it was always a topic of discussion.
So was there like rematches or like?
Oh yeah, sometimes it was.
Or would
But a
people
lot
just
of
be so
times the
ashamed?
guys, they would be so scared they would never race you no more.
Oh, okay.
They would be scared of you forever.
Wow.
I got guys today, and I'm 70 years old. They still got grudges. Still talking about they want to race me. I'm like, yeah. Well, I'm gonna get me something together. I'm gonna race for you. You are. And when I was in my 50s, when I was still racing, or late 60s, I ran into a guy. Or I didn't run into him. He was at the track. And I had my car, and he told another guy, he said, man, I see Wayne got his car there. I should go over there and race him. The guy told him, he said, you need to go over there and ask him, because I know he'll race you. Monkey don't show up. He's still scared of that bluff that he heard about from way back in the 70s. He still got it. He still want to race me, but he ain't got the balls to do it. He don't have the stones.
So basically, your dad is a Dominic Toretto prototype from Fast and Furious.
Oh, absolutely,
They know not to
man.
fuss with him.
Oh man, hustler. I can remember him building race cars in the yard, and not only that, like my dad showed me the way to buy anything, especially cars. I remember the first car I went to buy. My granddad gave me this car, like this British car. It was a TR6. Remember that, the red one?
Yeah.
Gave me a car when I was going through cancer. Everybody thought I was gonna die, so everybody was giving me stuff like. Hey, Grandpa came through. He gave me a car.
Yeah.
I could never get it running. I sold it to my dad, and I had this cash on me. I was like, I want to go get this caddy. Because we had watched Superfly for so many years. He showed us all the hood classics, Langston. We watched Superfly, Dolomite. We listened to all the Richard Pryor comedy albums. He put me up on so much game, but I watched so many episodes of Superfly, I wanted a caddy, like Superfly. Found one over in Belleville, and I forgot. I think the dude was asking like $800. I was like, Dad, I sold him the TR6. I was like, Dad, I want to get this caddy. He was like, give me the money. I'm going to take you over there. I'm going to show you how you're supposed to. No, you didn't even warn me. You was just like, give me the money. I gave him the $800 because that's what I thought I was supposed to spend was $800. Man, we go over there and look at this car. And my dad, he was just like, don't say nothing when we get over here. Don't crack no smile or nothing. Just look. We looking at the car, and he's just shit talking the whole car. Like, oh, I need a bumper. Don't like how that sounds. Sound like it got exhaust leak. It's gonna need some paint. But meanwhile, in my mind, like, this thing's clean, it runs great. But he told me to shut up before we got there. And he dogging the shit out of this car. And then at the tail end of him dogging it, and we done test drove it, runs great and everything, he was like, don't like how it shift when he was out there. I don't know if, And then I gave him $8, but he pulls out $500. Like, man, this is all we got. It's $500 right here. And the whole time my dad talking, the dude can't take his eye off that money. And my dad's moving it around. This nigga the whole time. And the dude was like, well, what did he say? Did he have to go in and talk to the wife?
Yeah, he said, let me go talk to my wife. Yeah.
Oh, it was a private sale.
Yeah.
It was like private owner. So he goes in, he talks to his wife. And my dad was like, oh, he gonna take. That wife ain't gonna turn down this money. He came out with the title like, where do you sign?
Oh, yes.
He put me up on game. Like, don't you ever pay full price for nothing, all right? This is cash. Cash is king. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. It talks, too.
Yeah, that story, I was cracking up. I tell everybody that story now because now I take people, somebody will call me, they want to buy a car. I'm like, how much is that car? Like $6,000? We're going to take $4,800. And I go over there and do the exact same thing he do. Like, oh man, and I have to tell him too. Like, I literally helped somebody buy a car just 2 days ago. Told him the same thing. We get out the car, and she's like, "Oh, it's nice." She telling the dude that we buying the car from, "This is nice." I tell her, like, "Shut up, or go sit in the car." We can't. We got to have poker face.
Right.
Man, listen, dog. All we got is, we got $2,800. Man, that's it. It worked like a charm. And then I did what you did. I had that money out, and I'm like,
Nigga was followed everywhere you go. You looking at that money.
And then the mistake he made, he was just like, yeah, I'll take the 2,900 or whatever it was. And I was like, man, he said it too fast. Why you agree to take the money? So I went over to her, and I came back. I was like, she said she only want to spend 27 because she need gas money. He was like, okay. I'm like, dang, he said okay again. So by the time we closed the deal, I shaved another 100 off. Like, she thinking about backing out of the deal, man. We only want to spend 2,500.
Oh yes.
I got that from you for real.
Oh yes.
Those bargain tactics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that last minute, he thinking he getting ready to get some money. Now all of a sudden, oh man, no, I ain't gonna get no sale. And if you are, see, I've been on the other side of that where I've been selling, and you think you're getting a sale, and then all of a sudden they getting ready to back out. You're like, oh man. And your face will always tell what's getting ready to happen, unless you really know how to do it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you be like, oh shoot, man, I'm down. I'm disappointed. I ain't gonna get this sale. But that's a tactic you can use to buy, or I don't know if I should give away all my secrets, but
Yeah. No, probably
What you got to do is start yourself one of those master classes and make people pay for those secrets.
right there you go, yeah, because there's another little trick you can do at the end of the deal too. But
yeah, people are afraid though.
on.
Most people are afraid. They don't want to
Yeah.
be confrontational, but they don't look at like what I learned from you is like the art of negotiation. It's fun. Like I don't
Yeah. Oh,
just
yeah.
because somebody asking that price, that don't mean I got to pay it.
That's right.
But it's only two answers you can hear when you ask a question. That's yes or no.
Yes. Yes or no.
And I'm like, shit, I need to know, dog. But just, I want you to talk a little bit about some of the things we talked about this earlier. Some of the things you saw growing up that made you like. You've been married to my mom for how long?
48 years.
Been married to my mom for 48 years,
Yeah.
and I'm a recovering dirtbag, so he like a better man than me. You know what I'm saying? But I like he told Charlie, I just picked good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you've been married to my mom for 48 years. But I just want you to, and I love y'all relationship because y'all laugh and talk and joke and talk all the time like y'all best friends.
Yeah, we still do.
And I just want you to talk about like what you saw growing up. Because, I mean, kind of the basis of my show is it's not about how you start, it's how you finish.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like we all have redemptive qualities, and sometimes we give up on ourselves. But really, we can't judge ourselves or judge other people because we don't know what chapter they are in their life.
Yeah.
They may be on the 6th chapter, the 7th chapter, and you judging the book too soon, and they ain't even at the conclusion of the book.
Right.
So it ain't about how you start. I think we should have grace for ourselves. But I want you to talk about like what you saw growing up, and what made you make the decisions you made to be the man that you are, and just the redemptive qualities that even Grandpa had, like how he started, but how he finished, what he saw, and how he ended up.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. My dad, he got a rough start. He got kind of a raw deal when he was like 12 or 13 years old. He witnessed something in his household that ended up having his parents put him out of his own house.
Right.
And at 12 or 13 years old, all of a sudden you ain't home no more. Now you got siblings that's at home, they enjoying home. How come I can't enjoy that? Because of something that he witnessed. And it scarred him, as he was a young man. And he developed some traits or habits that followed him years and years into his life. And then also, as being the oldest of my siblings, and my sister, she's right next to me, we both experienced a lot of things that our younger siblings didn't experience, that they didn't go through, they didn't have to deal with. And it was tough, but it made me a tougher individual. It made me a tougher man. He loved me, and he taught me in a way, not to sit down and talk to me, but he taught me by his actions. and I saw what I was going to do. I learned what I was going to do and grow up. When I grew up, I learned what I was going to do, but I learned I wasn't going to do what he was doing. So it helped make me the man I am today, and I'm grateful for that. And then also, my dad started out an unsaved guy, and a lot of the guys he hang with, they were unsaved, and they did a lot of things, and they had some troubles in their marriages, and they all were doing the same thing. But I made up my mind that I wasn't going to do that. I was going to do it a certain way. And then also, closer to as my dad got older, he changed. He got saved. He actually came over to my house one time and apologized to me for some of the things that he had done. And my dad had never apologized for nothing. But he met me at the door. And my wife told me he was walking around in the driveway before he came in. Like he was having a hard time trying to figure out how he was going to do it. But he walked up to me and hugged me, and he apologized. We were both crying. It was a real father-son moment. It was a real, and it changed his life. He changed like 100%. He got saved and gave his heart to the Lord, and he developed a love for his children and his grandchildren.
That's one time he gave me the car. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Shout out to
yeah,
Granddad.
yeah.
Him thinking that I was getting ready to die changed his life.
Yes.
But I think more importantly, it was Grandma too.
Yes.
Like it's the power of prayer. Like people,
Yes.
I mean, it's a lot of issues we kind of argue, we talk about, we try to fix on our own, but ultimately it's prayer is what changes things. And I'm a
Yes.
firm believer. Like
Yes.
Grandma prayed all the time.
Yes, she did.
She was praying for her husband to get saved. She was praying for y'all.
Yes, she was the glue, and she never gave up on her marriage with my dad. She never gave up. And see, today, women and men both, as soon as something happened, I'm gone. I'm out of here. But see, that has a rippling effect when you leave. Your children are affected. Your whole life is affected.
Yeah.
But if you can just overlook some offenses, overlook some problems, and think about the greater good is that your children are going to get what they need from you.
Right.
And they can get it from their dad too. Now, there might be some hard times, but because you stuck it out, all of my siblings still got their husbands. All my sisters, I got 3 sisters and 1 brother. We all still married to the same person, except for one of my sisters. She lost her husband, but she was with him till the end. Yeah. And she ain't married yet. She didn't marry again.
You talking about
Yeah.
Yeah, all his siblings
all
were
my
married to the
siblings-
same mate. What about if your mate shoots you? Should you hang out and stay with her, you think? Or?
Nah. None
was
of
I
us
doing?
had no toxic relationship.
See, I had a toxic relationship. I got shot, so I had to leave. So I'm saying, if somebody putting hands on you,
Yeah, that's
And I had another one where I got punched in the face at the tail end because she found out I was cheating. So, that one ended. But I'm like, honestly, I was kind of upset because I felt like I let you down. You know what I'm saying? Like, dang, man, I'd have jacked up again, man. I don't want to be married 20, 30, 40 years like my dad. I want to be the kind of man like my dad. I'm like, dang, I done messed up again. I don't know. I think all of us, society started to change.
All
I think
societies
too,
have a
and trauma
big
changes
thing.
you too.
Oh,
Like I
gosh.
had cancer. I've been through so much. Like Grandpa, he went through a bunch of trauma as a young man.
Yeah.
But it's like the wife he picked
Right.
she prayed for him and she was kind of able to deal with some of the things without attacking him.
Yeah,
So a lot of it got to do with how you pick, I think.
She had a vision of what life would be like if she had left and then some other man be over her daughters or her son. She just couldn't see that. She couldn't. She said, it wasn't worth it. It was worth it more to stay with my dad and, keep praying for him and stay and keep interceding for him. And he got it together. He got it together. And I seen it. And, it was like everybody was, I remember the first time he ever prayed with all of us, the whole family.
I was there.
Yes, we had.
I couldn't believe
We
it.
used to have family prayer, and he would always be there, but he would never say nothing. And then one time we praying, all of a sudden, Daddy started praying. I was like,
all of us was in tears.
Whoa! It was a very
Because we literally got a chance to see
Yes.
like grandma's prayers. Like,
Yeah,
man, grandpa is
answered.
praying.
God will answer prayer if
Yeah.
you're diligent enough to keep believing that it's going to happen. And see, that's what happened with a lot of Christians too nowadays, and even back then. You believing for something, but you can't stay believing for it long enough for it to happen. And a lot of times we miss out because we just didn't hang with it long enough. You didn't push to get that blessing or that prayer through. You got to push. And I got to say, in our family, we push. And we go the distance to wait to see how it's going to come out. But you got to hang in there. You got to go through a lot of trials and tribulations to get that dream to come true.
But I think too, we talked about this earlier, like a lot of it, when I got healed from cancer, when God healed me from cancer, I feel like God gave me this healing anointing, then I attract broken people. Mm-hmm. When you got a healing anointing, you attract broken people, but just because you attract these broken people, it doesn't mean you got to let them close to you.
Right.
And that's the wisdom
Yeah.
that it took me for a period of time, because you talk about, who you pick for a mate, who grandpa picked. It was like, I think over time, I was selecting people to be close to me that didn't have the background that I had, the family structure and the spiritual structure. And I ran into a lot of opposition because I was attracting all these broken people, but I was letting them super close to me immediately. Like, wait a minute, you know what I mean? So I think the next time I get married, the next person I pick, like, not only, because somebody asked me this the other day, like, why you ain't married yet? I'm like, man, I got to heal.
Right.
I got to heal, and I'm taking my time, but I just want to make sure I pick somebody that has the same values and morals and same outlook that I have. And also, too, somebody that can love all of me.
Yeah.
Because I ain't going to, you know what I'm saying? The sober me, the drunk me, the mad me, the happy me. Like, you got to love all of me, not just the idea of what it is to be with me. Like, and I could tell that's the love mom has for you. Like, no matter, she know you going to be in the garage working on cars.
Yeah.
She know that sometimes you pop off on people, sometimes you'll pop off. She know you gotta, okay, just calm down, Wayne, it's gonna be all right. But she accepts all of you.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a problem with society today. People take more time to buy a car or a house or a thing than they do to pick a mate. What I did before I got with my wife, I'd had a couple of failed relationships, and I said, I got to have me somebody that's real. So I looked around. I made up my mind, and I put some checklist things down that what I wanted,
Right.
And my wife she fit the bill, and then and then when we started dating, she had kind of the same thing going on too. She had some things going on in her household that she didn't want to put up with when she got married. Right. So it was just a fit. God just brought us together. It was a fit, and it's been great. We've been married we're going on 49 years.
I'm gonna get there.
And it's been great. Now we've had some issues. We've had to deal with. Everybody do, but we never. My thing was, I just never wanted to quit.
Yeah.
I said we're gonna make this work. And she did the same thing. We gonna make this work.
I want to share this story real quick. This is like the 80s when late 80s, early 90s when the crack epidemic was popping. And me and my dad and my brother get out the car. We walking in the grocery store. And we get out the car and this nigga starts singing to my dad. Ooh, Wayne, ooh. He got this gyration movement going. I see you got your sons with you. Ooh. My man had like the mouth grits, like, when niggas got white shit in the corner of their mouth. This nigga had mouth grits and he was stanking and it was missing some chiclets. I was fried. I'm probably 10 years old at the time, 10, 11. This is late 80s, early 90s, man. We going to the grocery store and I'm like, Dad, who was your mans? Who knew your name and singing and dancing? And he had mouth grits. And what was that? He was like, oh, that was Biscuit. I was like, nigga, who is Biscuit? he said, I went to school with him. And he said, unfortunately, somebody put something in his drugs, and now he off. And then he looked me dead in my eye. And that's why you don't do drugs. Because if you do, you're going to end up just like Biscuit. I ain't never did drugs in my life. Ever. Because I swear.
Teachable moment.
Teachable moment. I swear, like maybe, 5, 6 years later, I'm at a party and niggas is passing around a joint that I never saw them roll.
Right.
You feel me? So when it get around to me, I'm thinking like I might hit this joint. And as soon as it hit my hands, I heard Biscuit singing. Ooh, wait. I don't want to be crazy. And I sold some. I've never did drugs. It scared the shit out of me, man. Yeah. That was a suit. You was good for them teachable moments, but I gotta say, you knew some of the most colorful characters on the planet. Like
I grew up with them.
You grew up with them, and all your race buddies, Raleigh, Rob, all them dudes, man. Like
they're very colorful.
Remember that John Bonnie story?
Oh yes. So Charles he's got this Cutlass, and he goes out and buy these brand new rims, wire wheel rims. I mean, it was
Dayton wires.
Dayton, yeah, he had some Daytons
on Vogues.
So he's putting them on his car, and one of my buddies come over, and he bring his buddy over. His name is John Bonnie, and he gets on Charles's head. Man, why you putting them things on your car? Man, you're just gonna draw all kind of attention to you. You're gonna have all kind of trouble with that. Why you waste your money on that? And he just dogging. I mean, he's on Charles.
And he letting it ride.
Yes, because I felt the same way. I just let him go because I knew. Hey, he's taking care of my business right now.
Nigga's a dirtbag, dog. He got his friend speaking for him, and in the meantime, he in the back with a smirk on his face.
Oh, because I was thinking exactly. Why you put these things on here? You know, they don't even match. You know, they don't tidy. I'm like, so John Bonnie just takes care of all my business for him. He's just saying everything.
So I'm trying to rush. If you know anything about putting Dayton's on, you got to put the hub on, you got to put the wheel on, you got to tighten up the hub screw, all of that. So I'm rushing because I don't want to be around this nigga John Bonnie, dog. Right. I got to get away from his homie. So I put 3 of them on well. That last one I kind of half put on, but I was rushing to get away from this nigga. And that night I was racing somebody because, of course, it's in the blood. I'm racing people too.
Right.
I'm racing somebody. I come around and it started to hit a curve right there on Wayne Road. And before you know it, the car slams on the ground. And I look and I see the Dayton fly off and go into the woods like a deer. Oh, and all that shit he was talking was true. Them things gonna spin off, Charlie. You been there? And I'm like, man, nigga, no. And I heard John Bonnie as I watched this Dayton. It was like a beautiful deer just going into the woods. Just,
man.
And you know, I never found that tire.
We never found that rim. We looked in the woods at the night, in the daytime. We could never find that wheel. Never found it.
Man.
Never found it. But I believe somebody else found it and kept it and was trying to sell it on Craigslist.
I should have listened to y'all niggas, man. Your friends was colorful. Yeah. I want to kind of wrap it up with a couple stories about you know, how you retired early, how you got the car lot, all those characters at the car lot, and your most current testimony of the house, the brand new house you and mom just got out in Texas. It's just kind of encouraging people to stick with.
Don't
give up. You retired. You retired at how old was you?
49 years old. I got bought out. At my job, I was a vehicle instructor, and they just decided that they didn't need us no more. And I was like, all the while there was all kind of talks of buyouts, and my wife was saying, Charles' mom was saying, when if they offer me a buyout, I'm taking it. And I was like, oh, wow. I said, well, that's okay. I said, we still gonna be able to make it if you get a buyout. You got pension coming and money coming, and I'm still working. We'll be fine. So, lo and behold, they don't offer her the buyout. I get offered a buyout. So now, when I first hear it, I'm panicking. I'm scared. I don't know what I'm gonna do. How am I gonna make it? What I'm gonna do? So a month goes by. They have this huge meeting. They bring all the guys in. There's 42 people working at this location, and they say, and the first thing they say in this meeting, they say, yeah, we got 42 people of y'all. When we get through, after we go through the downsize, it ain't gonna be but 7 of y'all left. I'm like, what? And he say, if you think you're gonna be one of the 7, then you can hang around. But if you ain't, then you're gonna end up in the street. That's basically, I mean, cut dry, that's just how they told it. But beside him, there was a stack of green envelopes this high with everybody's name on it. And I'm like, damn, what is that? And after the meeting went on, I found out that they was getting ready to give me this big, huge stack of money to leave. And they was going to give me my pension. So I was like, oh, wow. I could take what they give me and what I already got and roll that over into a plan and get a check every month from that. And then I got a pension coming every month. My bills is paid still. Right. So all I could do is I could retire and hustle and sell cars and race cars and do what I want to do. So for 10 years, I had this huge stack of money, and I took $11,000 a year out of that stack for 10 years, and I still had that stack of money until
So you was wise.
2008.
But you was wise with your money while you was working it. You was investing and
praise
stuff
God.
like that. So,
Yep, I invested it, yes.
I mean, that's
really
a big
did.
piece for everybody now, man. Invest.
Yeah.
You know, and they talk about that on that, Angel was telling me on that Earn Your Leisure podcast, that if you invest in the things that you buy already on the stock market, you know what I'm saying? If you got an Apple phone, invest in Apple. If you got, you can't really depend on your job to take care of you no more. It ain't like that no more. You got to kind of invest in some of the things but you ended up he ended up getting a car lot later. And that was probably one of the most fun times of my life, helping you run that car lot. Yeah. And the people that came in there was some characters. It was a nigga that came in there who referred to him. No, we start calling him Big Load.
Right.
Because the first thought, listen to this, Langston, in his first few paragraphs, this is how he described himself. Nigga was 65, and he had like a 25-year-old baby mama with 2 kids. And the nigga tells us, like, I squirt big loads. I big loads. This is his intro.
Why is that your resume, though?
That's his resume.
Why is that how you introduce yourself to people?
Oh, my
How
goodness.
you doing, man? My name's Johnny, and I squirt big loads.
And the worst thing about it, he's a preacher.
Oh, Lord.
He's a preacher.
You know, I'm a Baptist minister, but I drop big loads.
So his nickname and his name was Big Load.
So we started naming these people that came into the lot. Remember Lil Daddy?
Little Daddy. We done sold this guy a car, and he didn't have enough for the whole amount, but he said he was willing to pay us on a monthly basis till he paid it off. And he had a sizable down payment, and they paid for the car. I said, well, okay, well, let's do that. So every month he would come in and he'd make his payment. But when he would come in, sometimes he would have some bumps and bruises on his head.
Nigga was out there getting worked out. He was in a secret fight club or something. Nigga was like 5'1", 300 pounds. Like, man, who are you fighting, dog?
Oh, yes. And he had a limp, too, when he walked in, too.
He had a gangster limp, man.
And every time he see you come, oh, here come Little Daddy.
Yeah.
He got that $100.
Remember when you turned up on them people and kicked them out the office when they tried to get that rebate?
Yes.
This was my job at the car lot, is keeping him off the ledge from turning up on people. Automatically, that was my job. I was the mediator. So we sold these people a car, and we sold them a car, and basically their car got repoed. Their car got impounded.
Right.
Because they didn't put the tags and stuff on it. They got impounded. They came up to the car lot accusing us of repoing the car. Like, bro, why would we repo your car? Did you put the plates and stuff on it like you were supposed to? Oh, it got impounded. So we found the impound. But they came up and just was like, you know what? We want our money back. How? How you want your money back when you got the car impounded? So they started accusing my dad of being a fraud. Like, give us our money back. You repoed it. I'm trying to tell them your car is in the impound. Here it is. No, we want our money back. And they get into it. And I hear them. I'm at a different desk. I hear them arguing with him. All of a sudden, this nigga slams his hands down on the desk. Fuck out of my office right now, or I'm going to kick you in the crack of your ass. And then starts to charge their chair. It's a dude and a lady, and they run out of the office. and they out at the sidewalk, and I got to go out and like, okay, listen, we can work this out. And I'm trying to come back and tell him like, nope, I don't want him in here. They can't come back in here. You work it out. You work that shit out outside. They can't come back in the office. Like, think it was the turn up king, man.
Oh, man.
But I feel like you got to have that good cop, bad cop situation when you in business. You know what I'm saying? But
Yes.
you have some characters up there.
Oh, we did. And I mean, that was the dumbest thing I ever had somebody say to me, and I just couldn't take it. I just had to I went off.
Do you feel like gentrification pushed you out of the neighborhood to a certain degree? Remember when they put bike lanes in front of the car lot?
Oh, man, yes.
When you see bike lanes coming, you know the white people coming, dog.
Right.
It's over with.
Yeah.
They put the bike lanes in front. They start raising his taxes. It got to be where.
Yeah, it just got really, really difficult.
Remember Jordan's, all the businesses start shutting down?
Yeah, all the businesses started shutting down. It just changed the whole face of the neighborhood and the customers that were coming. And because I'm gonna tell you, man, we had it going on. We was selling so many cars that all the Arabs in that part of town that had businesses was coming trying to see what we was doing, trying to find out how we was making it work.
I forgot about that.
Yes.
They was sending spies over there,
and
dog.
we was jacking them.
And we could tell from immediately, like, I know you ain't here to buy, dog. What do you want?
Right.
That's how I was approaching
They were
them.
that bad?
Yeah, they was coming up like in droves. Like, come on, because we was selling shooters in the hood.
You got
4,000-5,000.
You got to tell them about the pump fake. You got to tell them about the pump fake.
What? Oh, you talking about at the auction?
Yeah, at the pump fakes. So now we buying, and they know we buying. So, and see, they done found out that we check out all our cars before we buy them. Right. Mm-hmm. We ain't buying something that's got a bad transmission or a bad motor or something serious. We ain't buying it. So they done figured out we check our cars. So they go come and try to outbid us all the time on the car.
Right.
So
Because
Charles
they
is
already
telling
know
me,
it's good.
yeah, Charles is telling me, Dad, what should we do? So he comes up with this deal. He called it pump fake. Go and tell him about the pump fake.
We was probably buying about 20 cars a week at 2 different auctions because we was selling so many. So we had to hit a bunch of auctions and we buying cars. So what we noticed is, like, if the auction opened at 9, I'd get there at 6 in the morning and test drive all the cars, me and Dad. And so what they started doing is because most dealers is lazy. They don't check out what they buy. So they found out me and him was showing up. So they would follow us around each lane at the auction and bid on the cars we was bidding on because they knew we was looking. And so I was like, Pops, we got to start faking these dudes out so we would start bidding on piece of shit cars and then let them win the bid.
Oh, that is fucking brilliant.
You know what I'm saying?
That.
I was like, we got to pump fake them. So we would have them believing we don't interested. They'd follow us around. We'd let them win the bids. And then eventually they figured it out. Once you get that piece of shit to your lot and it don't work, like, man, we can't believe these niggas, man.
I'm gonna tell you, it's such a magical moment when you see somebody that outbid you on a car, and then when they drive it out, and when they go to back up, it don't move backwards. I had a moment with a guy that outbid me on it was a Taurus. It was a Ford Taurus. He backs it out, and then when he get ready to go forward, it won't move. And he looks at me, and I look at him at the same time. It won't move, and I'm like,
yeah.
As an aside to that story, the transmission in my dad's Taurus went out in high school and I had to drive backwards halfway across LA. Because I was too scared to call and tell them what happened.
You say you was too scared?
Driving down Crenshaw, like, backwards in a Taurus.
Oh,
Like,
You was like Sonny in, what was that movie? Shit, I forgot the name of the movie. Damn, that's funny. Driving in reverse the whole way.
oh man.
What did I want to say? That was funny as hell. In closing,
fake, I like that.
pump fake. Hell yeah, you got some
Pump
people
fake.
follow.
Oh, that was
Honestly, I
great.
kind of do that now, even in business or creativity. Like if I know somebody about to copy off me, I just do some bull crap. Like, yeah, let me see if y'all do this.
Right.
Conceal your intentions.
Right.
That's in the 48 Laws of Power. Conceal your intentions.
Yes.
One of the things that you taught me that I'm super grateful for is it's in Philippians 2:14 and 15. Do everything without complaining or arguing, so that you may be blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a crooked and perverse generation, in which you shine as bright lights in the world. I'm grateful for you, Dad, because you always taught us, like, man, if you, what the scripture talks about, if you're grateful and you keep a positive attitude, you don't complain a lot, you will attract opportunities to you, and you shine as a bright light in a dark world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You was always a glass half full type of person. Don't complain too much. I think I appreciate you for that, and for your example of just holding on. Like, I remember we were struggling with the car lot for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
You held on, and then before you know it, it turned into a multi-million-dollar business.
It did. It really
I'm
did.
so grateful to you for that
really
example.
did.
Like,
It
what
was
kept
great.
you going strong? And you did. You stayed. You had a couple. We remember we got into it and I quit.
Yep.
Oh, we beefed out. We beefed out
yeah.
right when it was tough because he was telling me to hold on. I was like, man, we got into an argument and I left.
Yep.
And when I came back, it turned into $1 million business. But what kept you holding on when I didn't even have the faith?
Well, I had invested my savings, my life savings. I had invested, and I just wanted to make sure that I at least would get some of that back.
Right.
I figured that I would, and I just couldn't quit. And then also, I had a dream that it wasn't going to take off until I spent all of my money.
Right.
And then once I spent all of my money, then the Lord basically said, that's when it's going to take off. Because see, then you're going to know it ain't you and what you did. You'll know that I did it.
Wow.
And that's when it took off.
And it did. And I
Yes.
was making so much money. Langston, remember we was talking earlier, like what I would possibly do with my reparations money? I was so ignorant. I had a Cutlass on rims. I had a BMW, a Charger. I was ignorant. Gucci's. I was completely out of my mind. I enjoyed that season. I learned a lot, though. So when I get my reparations money, I'm going to be a little wiser with this time. But we was making so much money.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it. But you had a dream.
Yeah. It was.
It's possible for black people to be successful in business.
It is.
But you got to have the mental toughness for success.
And then also, you got to go through the growing pains. When you first start out, you ain't going to make no money. You forget that. And so you better make sure when you start out that you got enough that's going to carry you for at least 2 to 3 years.
Right.
Because them first couple of years, they're going to be tough. And see, while you moving, you're going to be learning. And you got to be flexible. You can't just have a made-up mind how you're going to do it. You got to be flexible. You got to change it when it needs to be changed. And you got to make the right changes. And you got to have the right people working for you. You know, I had a lot of folks. I had to get rid of. I had to fire quite a few people.
This nigga hired a bass head, man. I
Haven't
will
we
say
all
that.
at some point?
He hired a bass head.
Yes,
that
yeah,
was
I did.
at
I
this
made a mistake.
He honest about it, man. But he hired a bass head. Me, I was kind of the pit bull. Like, we got to get rid of these niggas, man. He hired a bass head who we didn't know, and here's some mechanic. And I knew he was. There are certain signs that a nigga will have that'll let you know he off. Several missing side teeth. As a 35-plus-year-old man, you on some kind of narcotic.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me you ain't had an adequate dental plan? Nigga,
Right.
you 38. And or what else was going on? He kind of had this weird eye contact shoulder thing. I was like, this nigga's ahead.
Oh, the worst part, we got problems with getting batteries stole out of our cars and torque converters.
This is the killer, man.
Catalytic converters being cut off. The bass head is the one that's doing all of it, just about.
So he's
coming in.
He's set
working.
up.
He's setting himself up so he can come back in and get right back. He'd leave the hoods partially open or a door open at night, and then he'd come in.
So look, we got video of this nigga jumping the fence at 2 a.m. with a Timberland hoodie on.
Right.
And he's taking all the batteries out of the cars. So we see him. He comes to work the same day with the Timberland hoodie on. So I told my dad, I said,
wait, let me tell you. So Charles says, okay, Dad, let's bring him in. We're going to bring him in. We're going to beat the dog crap out of him. He said, we're going to throw a tire over him while he's in that chair. We're going to beat the shit out of him.
hell yeah.
I said, oh, no, man, no.
Because wait, because this is what I was saying earlier. Like, if you get out of line with me or my loved ones, I'm obligated to discipline your ass.
Oh,
You
yes.
stealing from my dad? I said, let's lock the door and beat the dog shit out of him. And he's like, no, Charlie, he couldn't get me off the ledge. Like, nope, let's do it. Let's call him
He's
in
trying to
here.
bring you down.
Let's work him, Dad. He's like, no, Charlie, we can't do that. And I'm like, We end up firing this nigga, man.
Yeah, well, we bring him in, and he gonna try to lie, so we show him the tape. I say, see that? I said, that's you. I said, you got the same sweatshirt on now that you had when we took that. So
And I'm in the corner,
He
fist balled up, steaming, like, let's just choke this nigga out.
Yes, and he's crying. Oh, he's bawling like crazy.
What is he crying for?
Oh yes,
Crying for a nigga. This is.
But we still should have beat the crap. We should have beat the crap out of him. Though. I should have went on and let you go and beat the snot out of him.
Yeah.
You know, because justice didn't come for him till like 2 years after that. It took them 2 years to actually bust him and put him back in jail.
Really?
Yes. Damn. And then we had him set up and had him there, and the police were supposed to come get him. They never show up.
Right.
I'm like, this is just a waste. So these folks talk about justice and call the police. That's a joke. If you can take care of it yourself.
In some cases.
Hey, in Texas, out in the boondocks, when you go out there, I'll be driving for Amazon every now and then once in a while. They got these signs up on these people's gates in front of the house. You can't get to the house. Say, we don't call 911.
Facts.
We don't, and they got a imprint of a rifle right up under that, or a pistol. We don't call 911. we shoot your butt and bury you out there in the field, and they'll never hear from you again.
Man,
you just be missing.
Street justice. So I want you to talk about that real kind of real quick in closing about this last testimony, because it blessed me of y'all getting a brand new house built in Texas, but the process. And y'all, again, you held on in faith. I probably would have threw the towel in, but, as quickly as possible, just let everybody know about that testimony and kind of how things is going right now.
So my wife and I figured that we wanted us a house in Texas. And we figured out what we wanted. We wanted just a 3-bedroom ranch. She wanted a window so she could look out from her kitchen sink. And I wanted an acre of land so I could put me up a nice big shop on this acre of land. So when we finally get into a position where we can get it, we look at the first house, and it's totally not what she wants. It smelled like dogs. So my wife she don't like dogs, and she's allergic to it. So we couldn't get that one. So I'm like, oh man, here we go. I got an acre of land. It's got a fireplace in it. I'm like, she don't want it to smell like dog. I said, okay. So while we're looking at this house, the realtor tells us, she says, hey, I got 2 new houses that just pop up. They're brand new houses, and they own an acre of land. I said, well, can we go see them? Yeah, we can go see them right now. So we leave that house, and we ride over to where this house is, and all this they're building a subdivision. They're putting 28 houses up, and every house is on an acre of land. I'm like, whoa. So this house that we look at is like 75% done. It's up. The doors is up. The windows is in. They're putting electrical in. They're putting the kitchen cabinets in. And they have this one, and they have one right next door to it. So we say, oh, let's see this. So we go in, and we look around. I say, oh. And my wife, she's like, oh, yeah, this is nice. And this is this, and we got this, and we got that. I'm like, oh, this is nice. So then the realtor says, oh, okay, well, let's go look at the other one. I said, nope. This is the one we want right here.
Right.
I don't even need to look at the other house.
Right.
So we figured we got us a house. We got an acre of land. I done walked to the back of the yard, and I done looked up at the house. I said, oh, this is all mine. And then
let me ask you a quick question. If you went to look at that house and you knew it was a dream house, but the realtor didn't have a shirt on during the whole time of the showing, would you have?
Come on, would
you have still?
You got to be realistic,
So you just didn't have a shirt on. Would you have still bought the house?
It's not a California realtor.
It's not California.
It's not California.
And that's
California.
Too much crazy
Nigga wouldn't have had no pants on during the whole
No.
show.
He's smoking a crack pipe.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we figured we got us a house. So we waiting on development. We're supposed to move in within like 60 days.
Right.
House supposed to be done. So we going out, we go checking. And they ain't moving fast enough. I'm like, wait, what's going on? We called the realtor. She's saying, yeah. I went, whoa. We was just out there. There ain't none of that done.
Right.
We said, well, the builder said. I said, look, the builder's lying. There's something wrong.
So y'all was following up.
We followed up.
Which is one of the things you got to do now, man. You got to follow up.
Yeah, we didn't listen to what the realtors was telling us. We went out and saw for ourselves.
Tell them what that realtor told you, though. Not the mortgage guy. About that process.
Oh, so anyway, we never gave up. Even when it looked like we wasn't going to get it. Because we moved out of our house, and we thought we was moving into the new house. We had to put our stuff in storage and go live with my other son for a month. or more, a little bit more than a
Just
month.
because they were bullshitting on whatever was.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be done, and they ain't getting done. So we have to get live with them. Say, hey, if this don't happen and this don't happen at this price, we ain't buying nothing. So now our dreams are like, dang, they're like shattered. We don't know. We don't think we're gonna get the house. We're gonna have to settle for renting the house. So anyway, fast forward, and we get 4 extensions for the rate after the rates that went up nationally for interest.
Hey, so y'all's rate stayed the same.
And our rate stayed the same. And guess what? We didn't even have to pay for the extensions.
That's God.
And we got the house. And the Lord blessed us with this house.
So tell them what the dude said.
So the guy, the realtor said, this never happens. Nobody ever gets 4 extensions.
He was like, also, it never happens when a realtor answers the door with no shirt on. It's never.
Charlie, were you traumatized by a realtor with no shirt?
But what the realtor did say too, he said, people always give up before they get to the finish line.
Talk about it, man.
That's what happens, and black folks especially. When things get tough, they just throw in the towel. And what it is the devil don't want you to get nothing. The enemy don't want you to have
Especially
nothing.
ownership, man.
Ownership.
I feel like the enemy
yes.
attacks ownership.
Oh, yes.
Because how you going to leave something to the next generation? The only way to do that is you have to own.
Yes. And that was what we was all about. We wanted to own again. And we've had 2 other houses that we bought. But we wanted to buy another home. We wanted another home.
This your first brand new house?
That's the first brand new house
first-
that we ever been in.
I wanna-
Ain't
I wanna buy a
nobody
house.
else sat on the toilet.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I want to be the first one. I want to be the, give me some on that one. I want to be the first one to drop a huge snake in the toilet. I want to download the brown file. I want to be the first.
Yeah,
in my
but he
crib.
was, the realtor was a pastor's kid. And he said, I
The
was
mortgage
really,
guy?
The mortgage guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a pastor's
Because
kid.
the realtor was.
Yeah, but she was good. She was
Dude with
cool.
no shirt on.
But anyway, he said, I was watching y'all. He said, because most people give up before they get there. And you see, y'all never gave up. I was like, well, man, I tell you, it was tough.
That's the key to this episode.
yes.
Don't ever give up.
Yes, right.
Man, be about ownership, regardless of what you see in the news, all this stuff
Right.
going
Don't
on.
pay attention to the news and the media.
Press. You got to press hard, man.
Yes,
and a
you
lot of
do.
that comes with faith.
You gotta have a not giving up spirit. You can't give up.
Yeah.
Yep. You gotta
Absolutely.
Press towards the mark.
Press towards the mark.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Thank you, Dad, for coming through.
No.
I appreciate you.
Praise God.
I love you.
Amen.
Thank you for being like
I
one of
enjoyed
the
it.
realest dudes I know.
Amen. Praise God.
And for continually praying for me and keep praying because I need it.
Oh yeah.
I need all the
Mom,
prayer I
we
can get.
always pray. Pray for our children. We pray for our offspring all the time.
Man, check out my other content on my YouTube channel. Go to my website, iamcharlienewhart.com. This was fun. I'm going to be doing this every week. Langston, how you feel?
I'm good.
You good? Langston's
I'm a
mom.
little annoyed you didn't promote your Instagram. Come on,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
All your platforms.
You're right. See, that's why Langston be on me during the ADP. You got to make sure you do this and that. And I appreciate his counsel. I am Charlie Newhart. Go to my IG. Go to my YouTube, Charlie Newhart. What else am I on? TikTok. That TikTok been blowing up, man. Go there. I am Charlie Newhart. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Check out the website, ilovecharlienewhart.com. What else? Oh, my show at the Laugh Factory. It's going to be every first Sunday. You can come there, man. Great lineup, great people. Laugh Factory gave me an opportunity where I'm doing my own show, so I'm having a good time. And, yeah, man, spend some time with some loved ones, man. Rest in peace, Teddy Ray. He was good people. Just passed away not too long ago, man. Like, when I see things like this happen, it just makes me want to just appreciate my family and friends even more. You know what I'm saying? Because none of us ever know when it's our time.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
sure
saying?
don't.
We never know. So, yeah, man, I had a good time.
Praise God.
I love y'all because I love myself.
Give it up for Charlie Newhart. Come on.